Hello everybody, welcome to Us Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm, so it is much appreciated. I'm going to be trying to get back to being daily over on this second channel. I know my uploads have been pretty sparing lately, but you should be getting consistent uploads here, as well as I want to say from now on my podcast, The Shoot Around, is going to be hosted on this channel. We did a stream with MDJ, it's subbing in for our usual host Rudy, but we did that for a live reaction to the NBA draft. That is in the podcast tab on this channel if you want to go watch it. But it was a lot of fun and more viewership than the podcast channel, so we're gonna do it from here from now on, so get used to those being here every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, anyways, let's talk about what we're actually here to talk about, which is Damian Lillard. Now, obviously, I made a reaction when the report that Dame asked out happened. I made the reaction immediately, but there are things about that reaction that now, you know, it's not covering all of its bases. But there's nothing I would take back in the video, obviously. Like, I think my analysis was pretty spot on, but there have since been more reports, so there is thus more things to talk about. Now, what's interesting is pretty soon after I put out that video, it was also reported teams like the Pelicans, and the other one, I think it was even the Jazz. Was it the Jazz that I'm thinking of? The Pelicans and the Jazz were interested in Damian Lillard. The other one, of course, is that the Celtics are interested, and that is a rumor that has heated up quite a bit. Apparently, there's reports that Jason Tatum has been talking to Dame about potentially making it happen. There's been reports that of any team that's not Miami, Dame would definitely be most open to the Celtics. But I just feel like him going to Miami is pretty much inevitable. Now, the last time I claimed a trade was inevitable, it was actually when James Harden and Ben Simmons was being discussed. I said that swap was inevitable, but that was when it was being discussed when James Harden was a Rocket. So when I said it was inevitable, it just took 2 years for that to prove true. So, you know, maybe this is also inevitable because I was right about that. But he wants to be there, and I think it only makes sense that he wants to be there. And that is another thing that has been a bit of controversy regarding this whole ordeal. There's been a little bit of discourse that I wanted to go ahead and acknowledge, which is it's yet another player empowerment thing, which frankly to me, this is one of my favorite things to discuss, because this gets to, like, you know, to some degree, like morals and ethics, and it's kind of a little bit political, and that stuff interests me. And I like to look at basketball through that lens when I can. And for me, I've always been very, very much in the player empowerment, pro player side of things. Now, don't get me wrong, every once in a while a player does some shit that's out of line, like wearing a fat suit to a game or whatever the hell was going on with James Harden leaving Houston. That was a particularly significant clown show. But, you know, generally, I don't really care what you got to do to get where you got to do it, as long as you're not being just overtly whiny. And sure, is it a little childish maybe to have your agent tell every team that's not the Heat, don't trade for me or else I'll throw a fit? Sure. Do I think it's an entirely fair and valid move on a business front? Absolutely. It's far more morally ethical than most business transactions that happen, probably even in the league itself. So I do not care, and I also do not quite understand where this criticism is coming from, given the context surrounding Damian Lillard. Because to me, it seems hypocritical and like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of ordeal, where Damian Lillard's like, what the hell? I thought this is what you wanted me to do, because I and many people were like, hey Dame, you want to like use some of your agency and get the fuck out of Portland, because it is as obvious as it could obviously be, that you weren't going to win a championship in Portland. So we've been nagging on him to use his agency, and then he does. And now we're giving him shit for using his agency well, you know, like not just being like, oh, I want to leave Portland, but you can trade me for whatever to wherever. I don't really care. It's not a big deal. I love you guys so much. Get the best trade package you can get, buddies. Like, no, that's not going to happen, and it's silly to even view it that way. Damian Lillard has given Portland everything. He doesn't owe them anything else. He doesn't owe them making this trade a slam dunk for them. I think, if anything, Portland owes the shit out of Damian Lillard. The fact that he stuck around through their bullshit this long, they should be thanking him on the way out. Like, they should trade him where he wants to go. And I think, yeah, that's more of like this fucking kumbaya bullshit and less strictly good business. But like, that's a part of this equation. And from a franchise perspective, yeah, is Portland the most attractive free agency destination anyways? No, but your reputation as an organization matters even outside of just free agency, and that would be a great way to bolster it. Like, reward loyalty. That will get you more loyalty. And you clearly need it, because you need people to be loyal to your horrible teams that you build around them. Hopefully it's a different story for Scoot Henderson, and what a story it's going to be for him to be a successor to Damian Lillard, now immediately taking the reins as the franchise guard. It's definitely very interesting. While noteworthy how different of players they are, I find that very, very interesting. But yeah, like I said, I'm entirely on Damian Lillard's side. Do what you gotta do to get where you need to be. I think Miami makes the most sense. Boston would be interesting for sure, especially I've heard some rumors that they could get him for without Jalen, which seems impossible to me, because what are you giving up after that? Like Peyton Pritchard? But regardless of that, Dame would be cool in Boston for sure. But I think both of them, Dame complements the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat complement Dame in such a way that it's like, I need to see this relationship happen. They're perfect for each other, I guess. The Heat have needed shot creation. They've needed a pull-up threat. They've needed shooting overall. They needed someone to take pressure off of Bam and Jimmy, and you know, you got to slam dunk on all of those fronts with this one. And then for Damian Lillard, he's needed, you know, guys who can play defense around him, probably someone who can be another playmaker, because he's not necessarily like, he's still a good ass playmaker, don't get me wrong, but you know, he's a shot first type of guy, and sometimes you want someone who can be a secondary playmaker next to him, like Jimmy Butler would of course be, or primary, depending on, I don't know exactly how that dynamic's gonna work. But either way, the overarching point, it's a match made in heaven, and I would like to see it happen. Also, an interesting thing about that, I don't think we've ever seen Dame with like a genuine, like significant lob option in his career, and he obviously has that in Bam. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into his overall game, because everything's connected. Playmaking, scoring, having the ability to throw an alley-oop opens up other things on the floor, and that's compelling to see for a player who's already in his 30s, potentially, you know, adding a new thing to his bag somewhat. But yeah, anyways, that was just me rambling about some of the Damian Lillard discourse. For the most part, just a little bit of rambling is most of what there has been, so that's all I could do back to you. But yeah, that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.